Hi, welcome back to Christine's Home Affairs. Today we're actually making dog food. So we've got a box of pup. She's about 6.5 months old and I don't want to give her canned food if I can help it. She's never had any at this stage. And what I like to do is give her dry food, which is mostly organic or with as little fillers as possible. And the dog food, I like to know what goes in it. Dog food is unregulated, so I want to make sure that she's getting healthy foods. I don't buy pet mints either because there's too many fillers and don't know what's in there really. So I do buy human food, human meat, and I give her veggies that mostly I grow in the garden. If I can't get it from the garden, I'll just get it from the freezer and buy it in bulk. So this one here is a pork with pasta and lots of veggies as well. Stick around and I'll show you how we make Coco's food. The first thing we want to do is drizzle some olive oil into a deep pan or a wok. I like to use a wok because less food falls out of it. So just oil into a pan and then we'll put all of our mince in there as well. I've got 1.5 kilos of pork mince, so it's just pork all ground up. Now I like to buy human food, not animal food, because the animal food has a lot of fillers in it and it's really underregulated or unregulated in Australia. So for me, I'm going to buy the good stuff. What you can do, and I only discovered this a couple of days ago, is talk to your local butcher at the local supermarket and ask them for any offcuts and they'll grind it up for you as well. So that'll actually be a little bit cheaper too. So I've got here 1.5 kilos of pork mince and all of that's going into the pan and I'll start browning that off. While the meat's browning, I can get everything else ready. Now all of this can go straight into the pan with it. It doesn't have to look pretty, it's for the dog. She doesn't mind how it looks as long as it tastes good. So what I've got here is some macaroni pasta, and I alternate between pasta and rice or sometimes even potatoes. So I've got about a cup and a half of macaroni pasta here, it doesn't matter what pasta. I've got a cup and a half of frozen peas. I've got about 2 cups of frozen broccoli, a couple of cups of frozen carrots. I grow squash and they grow so quickly that she's going to get some of this as well. And I'll put this through the blender and she won't know that it's in there. Neither would the kids if I put it in. And I've got a tablespoon of sunflower seeds and pumpkin seeds or pepitas, which I'm going to put in my coffee grinder and grind up. And then I've got 2 tablespoons of flax meal. So it's just the flax seed ground up. And the other thing I'm putting in is some gravy. So it'll just give the whole mixture just a nice thick gravy flavour or meaty flavour. But a lot of canned dog food has gravy in it. So I'm putting gravy in there just to make it taste a little bit better for her. All of this that's going in is completely edible for humans as well. So if you wanted to sit down with your favourite Pooch and enjoy a meal together, you can actually eat all of this as well. So let's get started. So while that meat's browning, I'll actually grind the seeds first. So this is my favourite coffee grinder. I use it for everything except coffee. Just chuck the seeds in there. Turn on the power. Same with the pumpkin. And it doesn't matter if it's a little bit chunky either, it'll soften up as it cooks. So all of that can go in with the meat. And what the flax seed does is it'll actually bind everything together, so it'll stop it from being too runny. It's also super healthy for animals, for dogs and humans. We have this in flax biscuits, we have this in hamburger mince when I'm doing hamburgers. So rather than using breadcrumbs, I'll use flax. And the pumpkin seeds and the sunflower seeds we use all the time. Super healthy for the dogs. As long as you don't use the sunflower seeds with the husk on it, you've got to make sure the husk has been removed. So all of this can go into the pot with the meat, as can the gravy. And I'll just use a couple of heaped tablespoons of gravy powder. And I'll pop that in the pan as well. So it doesn't matter that the meat hasn't completely cooked through, it'll all simmer together anyway. Pop that in the pan. And 2 cups of water. The peas can go in straight away, and so can the pasta, because we want to cook that through. This won't take long at all. And so I've put 2 cups of water in and just mix that around. Because I'm putting pasta in, it's going to absorb any of the liquid that's in the pan, plus the flax will thicken everything up as well. So I'll put extra water, and you'll monitor the liquid level in the pan as well. So if it starts to dry out too much, put some extra water in there. I'm actually going to put an extra cups of water in now. So I'm cutting up the squash, and that's just going into the food processor or your blender. So just roughly chop that so that it fits. This is a great one. It's only a really cheap one. I go through quite a lot for my nuts and dog food and things. It's got a double blade, so I find it really, really handy for chopping up hard foods. Put the squash in there. You don't have to use squash, whatever vegetables you've got handy. At the moment I've got a big supply of carrots, squash, zucchini, peas. So a lot of the food that I give to Coco is completely organic and from the garden. Okay. So that's chopped up finely. There's a couple of big bits in there, but that won't matter, that'll cook through. Pop that into the pan. The good thing about the squash is that it's really just water, so it'll cook down and it'll actually add a lot more water to the mixture as well. So pop some carrots in there. I've popped a little bit of water in here. So the carrots are finely grated. The last thing I'm going to put in here is the broccoli. Now I don't need to chop the broccoli up at all. In fact, you can just break it up with a fork, but it's still quite frozen. I'll just pulse it a little bit. And that's it. So all of those ingredients go into the pan. Just heat it through. The pasta, by the time you've added all of the vegetables, the pasta will be just about cooked, and it'll continue to cook while the mixture is cooling down. So we can't put it into containers or freezer bags until it's all cooled down anyway. So I'm just going to heat all this through and then turn the pan off and wait till it's cooled down. I forgot to mention that I also add a couple of eggs. So I just whisk the eggs, stick them in the pan, mix it all together. And the eggs are really good for the dog's coat. So just whisk it together quickly, and this will go straight into the pan as well. And just mix it all through. So the dog food's completely finished. It's cooled down. enough so that I can actually start putting all of this into freezer containers, or containers for the freezer. So whether you want to use plastic bags and put them in the freezer and lay them flat, or if you've got a whole heap of plastic containers, whatever your choice is, you go ahead and do. I do both depending on the availability of containers and space in the freezer. So I'll just fill up my containers. What I do is have a different shelf for the different proteins, and I have that labelled in my freezer. I'll probably show you later, I'm a little bit OCD. So put a label on that and put it on the appropriate shelf in the freezer, and I like to rotate each day. So every time I finish a container, I'll go to the next shelf and give the dog a chicken meal or whatever else, whatever's next on the shelf. So I usually cook up big batches of food like this. I probably have a 2 or 3 day stint of cooking up dog food, and then that will last me a couple of months. But as she gets bigger and starts to eat more, it'll last me a little bit less. But at the moment, I'm happy not giving her canned dog food. I prefer to give her healthy foods. And a lot of it comes from the garden as well. The pasta and rice don't, of course. And Chris won't let me keep sheep, pigs or cattle of any kind in the backyard. I don't know why, it's only tiny. But anyway, the veggies are all organic. Most of them are grown at home. And look, it's easy enough just to Google safe veggies for dogs and put those in there. It really doesn't matter which ones you use. Anyway, I'm going to keep on going with this. Hope you've enjoyed this video. If there's anything you'd like me to make for a dog, let me know. I'll give it a go. Whether it's treats, other flavours of foods, I'll do anything. Hello. Hello, beautiful. I've got something for you. So this is Coco. She's our taste tester for the day. Let's see how she likes it. Coco, here, Coco. Coco, come on. She's too busy looking out on the street. Coco. Coco. So let's see if she likes this. Sit. Good girl. Okay. I think this one's another winner. Is that good, Coco? Hey, is that delicious? Of course it is.